Hi guys, welcome back to the Home and Homestead. If you're new to the channel, I'm Rebecca. Today we're going to be doing some freeze drying. We're going to freeze dry some Fruities. So Fruities are a fruit flavored Tootsie Roll type candy. They have a nice chewy texture to them, but they can be a bit of a challenge to freeze dry. You really need to take some extra steps that I'll show you today in order to get a nice, airy, puffed up type of candy result using your freeze dryer. Today's freeze drying video is part of a collaboration for 2025's Freeze-Dried February. Be sure to check out the host channel for this year's collaboration, which is the Inquisitive Farm Wife. On that channel, you will find the complete playlist for all the videos included in this year's collaboration, as well as you'll learn how to and the rules for entering a drawing to a grand prize of a Harvest Right Freeze Dryer giveaway on March 1st. So now let's head to the kitchen so we can get preparing our Fruities so they can be freeze-dried to make a tasty freeze-dried candy. Now I have found that when I freeze-dry Tootsie Rolls and Tootsie Roll type candies, I like taking an extra step, which usually helps make a nice consistent and crunchy result. So for today, we do these Fruities candies. I got the Mega Mix and it has 5 different varieties of flavors, which will be perfect because I have the Medium Pro Harvest Right Freeze Dryer and that has 5 trays. So I can do 1 flavor per tray. What we're going to do is take the Fruities out of the packaging and do 1 extra step in our preparation. So first I'm going to sort them into their different flavors here. That should be enough. So let's start with the fruit punch. And I like to do 1 flavor per tray. And these will just about double in size. So if you want them a little smaller, end result, what I would say a standard Tootsie Roll would be, you could cut these candies in half. And then once they puff up, they'd be about this size. So I'm going to do 4 per row. And while I'm getting the candies out of the wrapper and onto the trays, I have my oven preheating to 200 degrees. So here we have fruit punch. Now we'll work on the next flavor, which will be strawberry. One of the things I like about these candies, besides the fact that they're delicious, is that they remind me of my childhood. They remind me of when we would go to the bank, maybe go inside to one of the tellers, or if we went through the drive-thru when they put a little handful of candies to the chute if they saw us kiddos in the car. And a lot of times they would be candies like this, these little Fruities. They kind of take me back a little bit. All right, now we have a tray of strawberry. Next, we'll do some green apple. These are nice and sour. A great tart green apple flavor to them. Now I'll get the final 2 varieties onto trays as well, which is blue raspberry and grape. All right, so we have our Fruities all unwrapped and put onto the trays. We have fruit punch, strawberry, green apple, blue raspberry, and grape. And now for that extra step that I was referring to earlier. So I like to get my Tootsie Roll type candy, so traditional Tootsie Rolls and Fruities and things like that. I like to have them a little bit warm and soft before they even go into the freeze dryer. Now the Harvest Right Freeze Dryer does have a tray warm cycle and it can go up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. What I like to do for this style candy is get them a little bit warmer to start. So I'll put them in my oven at about 200 degrees Fahrenheit just for a few minutes until the candies start to soften and even puddle just slightly. Then I'll take them out of the oven and get them into the freeze dryer. So we'll put these into the oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit just for a few minutes until we reach that point of them being soft and starting to slightly puddle. Once I get these in the oven, then we can head over to the freeze dryer and get the settings programmed in for that. So here I have my Harvest Right Medium Pro Freeze Dryer with the pump off to the right. So let's get these settings programmed into the machine for making our freeze-dried Fruities. So whenever you're doing freeze-dried candy, you want to make sure that your software on the Harvest Right Freeze Dryer is version 5.x.19. If you're not sure what version of software you have on your machine, you can just touch on the touch screen here where it has your version and it'll show which version you have. Now let's hit Customize. Initial freeze I'll leave at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Extra freeze time, I'll put that to 0. Dry temperature, I will turn up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. And anything above 135 degrees Fahrenheit will give us the option to turn on candy mode, which is what we will do in a future step. So extra dry time, I'm going to turn this up to 4 hours. And we will hit save and start. Now the machine will go into a 15-minute cycle and we can check our Fruities in the oven to see how they are softening. So far the Fruities have been in here at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for about 7 minutes. They're nice and soft and they're starting to puddle on the trays. And you'll notice that when they start to soften, they get a nice shiny sheen to them. So by placing the Fruities on their stainless steel trays in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes, you end up with a nice soft candy that is ready to go into the freeze dryer so it can puff up and be our crunchy freeze-dried candy. So let me get these out of the oven. All right, that 15-minute prep time is all finished. So now we need to do 4 things. 1, we need to turn on the candy mode process. 2, we need to load our trays. 3, we need to close that drain valve. Then 4, we will hit continue. So first I'll turn on candy mode. So you just press that button and then candy mode is activated. Now we will load the trays into the freeze dryer. And now we will close that drain valve. Currently the valve is open and it's parallel to the drain, so to close it we just need to turn that valve perpendicular to the drain. There we go. And now we'll hit continue. So it's going to go into a warm trays mode. We've already done this partially with our oven while we heated them and warmed the candies at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 to 10 minutes. But I'm going to add a few minutes in the freeze dryer as well for this process. And we'll do that right now. So hit start. I'm going to turn that up to 5 minutes. So the longer that you have the warming tray cycle going, or if you did what we did today, which was pre-warming the candy in the oven, the larger your candy is going to puff up and you'll get a nice crunchy and crispy result. So now the freeze dryer will go through the warming phase time that we have set, and then it will begin to freeze dry our candy. So we can come back once that process is complete and I'll show you how the candy looks. All right, the freeze dryer has finished processing our little fruity candies. So what we need to do is open the drain valve. Then we can do no defrost, start new candy batch, or defrost. So I'm going to open the drain valve and do no defrost. And now we can remove our candy from the freeze dryer. Well, here we have our freeze-dried Fruities. And as you can see, I did some taste testing on some of these, and I like the way that they have freeze-dried today. They have puffed up nicely to about double the size. And the fun thing about freeze-drying candy is you can play around with the settings and the techniques that you use until it's to your liking. So I put these in the oven at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for between 5 to 10 minutes. I took them out at 7 minutes. If I would have left them in until 10 minutes, I think they would have all uniformly puffed up more, like some of these here. But they still turned out quite nice. They're nice and crunchy, and they have a semi-firm texture. And then when you bite down, it crunches nicely. Not quite as soft and fluffy as, say, a saltwater taffy. And that's probably my favorite freeze-dried candy. But these turned out nice. Certainly better than previous attempts that I've ever made with Tootsie Rolls or Tootsie Roll style candies. By putting them in the oven prior and warming them up a bit, they definitely have a better texture. So be sure to experiment with the settings and techniques till you get the results that you like. So now what I'm going to do is plate some of these up and we can have a closer look at their texture, and I'll show you how I store them as well. All right, here we have our freeze-dried Fruities, and I cut into one of each flavor so you could really see the texture inside of them. There's all these little air bubbles and little air pockets that will help make it a crunchy type of treat. Now, of the 5 flavors, the grape definitely did not puff up as much as the rest. And I do recall that that was on the lower shelf of the oven when I did the initial heating. So perhaps if I would have rotated the grape tray to the top and kept all of them in the oven at 200 degrees until the full 10 minutes, perhaps those would have had more air pockets in there as well. But sometimes certain flavors of candies just do not turn out as nice as others. So again, experiment and try different settings until you get it just how you like it. So on this platter here we have the fruit punch, strawberry, green apple, blue raspberry, and grape. These have an intense fruit flavor and they're all delicious. The grape ones are more of a hard candy, you kind of suck on them more before you're able to bite into them, but all the rest of them have a firm yet crunchy texture to them that I really enjoy. If you like a little bit softer of a candy and much lighter crunch, maybe more of melting on your tongue, I would suggest doing saltwater taffy because that really is lovely and has a nice soft crumble. If you'd like some more ideas or inspiration on freeze drying recipes or techniques, tips and tricks using your freeze dryer, be sure to check out my freeze drying playlist where I have a number of videos on the topic. This video has been part of a collaboration for 2025's Freeze-Dried February. Be sure to check out the host channel, The Inquisitive Farm Wife, for more information and a full playlist of all the videos and channels involved in this year's collaboration on the topic of freeze drying. And if you happen to be watching in 2025, we will be having a drawing on March 1st for a free Harvest Right freeze dryer. So again, be sure to check out the host channel for more information on that. I'll provide some links in the description box below where you can look into the Harvest Right freeze dryer and the techniques of freeze drying. And if you're also interested in other food preservation methods and techniques, I have a food preservation playlist that you can check out as well. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so yet, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. So please be sure to hit that subscribe button below and continue to watch my channel, The Home and Homestead, for some more homemade, homegrown, and home-style inspiration. Well, I hope that you're having a great day. See you next time. Take care.